Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Trogdor, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is another week of the UPBA, and we are going up against Dr. Slacking in our week 4 match and his Lake District Spirits. We are, of course, the commissioner of the Brooklyn Venonets. So, yeah, basically, if you haven't been keeping up with my season so far, we are not doing so hot. And by that, I mean, I want to say like tied for the bottom. I think we're only like not the bottom because we are higher up alphabetically. And technicalities. But basically, we're at the bottom of the barrel, which I don't want to be there. And this is the week where it's like, if we have any chance to come back, it's right now. So let's check out the team that my opponent has. My opponent has a very interesting team. It's interesting, like round 1 Doug Trio, interesting. It's not a joke team, it's not a meme team, but you'll see. It's got Tapu Bulu, and then Mega Audino, which it's probably the worst Mega that there is, and a wise man once said, Audino is an Unmon. And then there's this thing, and another wise man once said that Simisear is literally the worst Pokemon ever in terms of design and function and just everything. Like, ew, Simisear. My opponent also has Meowstic Male, Pyukumuku, Staraptor, which is actually like probably the best thing on his team, if I'm being honest, Ursaring, Masquerain, Dragalge, and Fortress. So you can see that this team definitely has some threats, but they're more or less mid-tier threats. There's no like single insane core or like something that just like runs through teams. It's not like this team has a, like I have Mega Mawile and some teams have Tapu Lele or Zyger. But that doesn't mean that we can't take this seriously. I've seen the way that my opponent plays, and yeah, believe it or not, he got a win like the first week with this team because he is definitely bringing some spice. So how do you fight spice with more spice? Well, and also I've got a really good team that actually matches up well versus a lot of teams and stuff. But we're taking this really seriously. I know our opponent can bring something really fun and interesting, so we're going to be doing the same. And like you see there, I've got my very first Pokemon is Robert Strong the Golurk. So Staraptor is the biggest threat to my entire team. Something, like no matter what, something I have like it dies to Staraptor. Everything on my team is 2-hit KO'd by it. By either Double Edge, Return, Brave Bird, something. So Golurk luckily is immune to one of its stabs and resists Earthquake or something. So basically Golurk, unless Staraptor is, because I have a number of things that resist Brave Bird, Golurk can live a Adamant Scarf Brave Bird and hit back really hard with Stone Edge. By really hard, I mean thanks to no guard, it just blows it back. So Golurk is like one of the answers that I have for Staraptor. It's a shaky one at best, but it's there. If Golurk is going to be my dedicated lead, because number one, I need rocks. I match up well versus my opponent's rockers, being primarily Doug Trio and Ferrothorn. So of course I've got Fire Punch, and Dynamic Punch just hits Doug Trio really, really hard. Doug Trio has like paper thin defenses. And, it's guaranteed Confuse, so if it's Sash, it'll probably hit itself in Confusion and then won't be an issue anymore. Doug Trio is a big issue for my team because I don't even know how many things weak to ground, and none of them really want to be trapped. And spoilers, I'm bringing 4 things weak to ground on this team despite Doug Trio being there, so it's scary. Hopefully he leads with it while I lead Golurk, but I need to get up rocks because that'll limit Staraptor switches and all of its good moves are recoil. Have you been able to tell that I'm kind of scared of Staraptor? Yeah. So next up, making its debut is my Drapion. So Drapion is a very interesting Pokemon. I'm bringing Darkinium Z on my Drapion because my opponent has very few switch-ins to very powerful knockoffs and very powerful like spam dark moves. The switch-ins he has for it, being Bulu and Mega Audino, do not want to take a poison jab at all. Bulu just drops to it. Audino takes a pretty hefty chunk, but can't do a lot back to me. And then there's Ferrothorn, which, I have Fire Fang to just blow back. So basically the whole point of Drapion is to come in safely, get a sub, because I'm bringing Substitute on this and something else you'll see shortly. Because as I force a switch, his likely switch is Dugtrio to be like, haha, I trap you. But I get up a sub, so that even though I'm trapped, he has to break the sub and then I hit it back, or something else comes in and I can get like maybe 2 hits off. But basically, it's to kind of avoid being trapped by Dugtrio so much. And of course, like Darkinium Z I'm gonna get a huge hit on something. And if he brings Audino or Bulu, I kind of see Bulu coming. Like honestly, there are like 4 things that are definitely like coming to this game, being like the Dugtrio, the Staraptor, the Ferrothorn, and I'm almost sure that the Ursaring is coming just because like Guts Ursaring just hits really hard and Quick Feet does as well. But there's certain sets that he could be running with like Masquerain, like Meowstic, heck even Simisear, but I'm not discounting anything. Pyukumuku, I have no idea what that does. All I know is that it doesn't get attacking moves, so it's kind of a liability to any team, considering I've got like sub on a couple things and I've got a really great taunt user, so I don't know. It's more of a liability than anything else in my opinion, but yeah. So yeah, Drapion could actually be really huge for me this game if I get up a sub and can just like blow something back with the Z knockoff and Poison Jab and whatnot. And yeah, really excited to have it make its debut on this team. So next up I have Tornadus, Edric Storm, the Tornadus, because I needed something to outspeed Ursaring when it gets to, like, if it's Quick Feet or whatever. I also need a Defogger, obviously. Taunt user is really happy in case he does bring Pyukumuku, in case he has the Ferrothorn, and I need a really good switch to the Dugtrio, because Scarf Earthquake just kind of like laughs at me, in all honesty, and if he's locked into Earthquake, it's like, great, Tornadus can come in and like blow something back with a Hurricane. Like his switch-ins for Hurricane are really limited, so it's such a spammable move this game. Unfortunately, yeah, it's Hurricane, it misses. It's like it's got a 50% accuracy, even though it's 70%, but 70% means 50%, like, let's be real. So Tornadus is like supportive, but it also is very helpful in what it can do. So it just kind of makes Dugtrio not as big of a problem as it otherwise can be. So next up I have, next up is my Raikou. So Raikou is another thing that forces a lot of switches, but is kind of gets laughed at by the Dugtrio. So I have sub on Raikou as well. Hidden Power Ice has a chance to kill the Dugtrio depending on investment and whatnot, because Thunderbolt's like so spammable, especially versus Staraptor. So if Staraptor is for some reason banded, which I'm like 90% sure it's going to be Scarf. That's why I'm doing all my calcs for Adamant Scarf. If it's not that, it's going to be so much easier to deal with, even though it could OHKO things that otherwise can't be. So sub T-Bolt, HP Ice, and Extra Sensory. This is just like, if I'm able to get Dugtrio out of the way, Raikou just kind of like laughs at the entire team, basically. But Dugtrio is a problem, but I've got sub HP Ice for that. If for some reason he decides to not be faster than my Raikou, which, let's be real, it's going to be faster. I mean, Doug Trio is like such a big problem for Raikou. It's like on paper it looks like really good and spammable, but in practice it's just gonna like maybe get one hit off and then go down to Doug Trio. So it's gonna do like one thing probably and just get up sub and go for HP Ice, and that'll be its day and force out Staraptor. But we'll see. I kind of need it on this team though, in all honesty. Yeah. Next up, I've got the Many-Faced God, the Mega Mawile. So, Mawile is another thing that stops Staraptor because I can get the Intimidate off in the base form. I can go for a really big play rough on just about anything. Yeah, just about anything except the Ferrothorn, which I blow back with a Fire Fang. And if Staraptor decides to like recoil itself to an early grave and like gets a couple rounds of rocks and Sucker Punches, just like bye-bye. Mawile also just kind of blows back the Audino, blows back the Bulu. I can take quite a number of hits because of how bulky Mawile is. Like, I'm pretty sure Sucker Punch Oko's the Doug Trio. And if I'm still in the base form and get the Intimidate, that Intimidate is so useful on Mawile. And it's also just like another helpful thing to blow back the Dragalge, because otherwise, like, switch-ins to adaptability Draco Meteor specs just don't exist. And switch-ins to adaptability Sludge Wave are also difficult to come by, although they're a little bit more abundant. Luckily, Mawile is immune to both of those, so I just like, it's also a really fantastic switch into Dragalge. So yeah, Mawile is really useful for that. Like I said, these moves like are just so good against him. Like Sucker Punch, because faster threats like the Doug Trio and the Staraptor, like Iron Head just kind of like blow through so many things, as does Play Rough. And then the one thing that resists both of those in Ferrothorn like just gets donked by the Fire Fang. So Mawile is really fantastic for me. And then lastly, we have Bobby B the Emboar. So Emboar is Scarfed because he really doesn't have a lot for a Scarfed Emboar. Flare Blitz, Wild Charge, Head Smash, and Superpower. So I mentioned earlier that Staraptor basically needs, I'm like 90% sure he's going to be Adamant Scarf Staraptor. If he's not, I just kind of like bring in Emboar and win. Like Flare Blitz, like Doug Trio like resists it, but it still just drops to it. Bulu just drops. Mega Audino, like I kind of don't see it coming, but it will like drop to Head Smash. Pyukumuku like doesn't drop to a Flare Blitz. I don't think it even drops to a Wild Charge, but it gets no attacking moves, and I really don't see Pyukumuku coming because, like I said, it's more of a liability than anything else. Ursaring drops, Staraptor drops, Masquerain drops, Dragalge doesn't like to take a hit, but it can survive one, so I got to be careful about the Dragalge, and of course Ferrothorn drops. So once I deal with Staraptor with either Golurk or Raikou or heck even Mawile with a Sucker Punch, like Emboar just kind of cleans up, and that's really what I'm hoping to happen this game. If I can, find out what his sets are. I mean, Jolly Quick Feet Ursaring gives me a bit of a problem, like 127 times 1.5. I know Tornadus and Raikou are EV'd in such a way to outspeed that. I'm pretty sure I got Emboar the same way once it's at 1.5. I had to be Jolly for that, otherwise I would have been Adamant. So anyway, so that's the team. Battle's going to be going up tomorrow. Definitely, I don't think my opponent's doing Team Builder. I'm like the only person who does Team Builders and actual battles anymore for some reason. I just like doing it. So stay tuned for the battle tomorrow. Subscribe if you're new. Like the video if you liked it. And comment down below if you got anything else to say. Any comments on the team or whatnot. So yeah, I'll see everyone in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.